I stepped out of the taxi, my legs shaking beneath me. The afternoon sun felt too bright after a week under those harsh hospital lights. My discharge papers crinkled in my coat pocket as I fumbled for my wallet to pay the driver. 72 years old, and I could barely manage the simple task of counting out bills with my trembling fingers. "You okay there, sir?" the driver asked, concern in his young voice. "Fine, fine," I muttered, though I wasn't fine at all. My chest still ached from where they'd attached all those monitor wires. The doctors said my heart was stable now, but it didn't feel stable. It felt like a time bomb ticking away inside my ribs. I looked up at our house, the same 2-story colonial we'd bought 43 years ago when Brandon was just a baby. The lawn needed mowing. Brandon was supposed to handle that. The front door was closed, but something felt wrong. I couldn't explain it. Just a feeling in my gut. The same feeling I'd had the night my own father passed away. The taxi pulled away, leaving me alone on the sidewalk with my small overnight bag. I walked slowly up the front path, each step requiring concentration. "Don't overdo it," the doctor had said. "Take it easy," the doctor had said. But how could I take it easy when Dorothy needed me? I reached for the doorknob and turned it. Unlocked. That was the first wrong thing. Brandon knew we always kept it locked. Always. Dorothy's purse was stolen from our car once, 15 years back, and since then, we'd been careful. "Dorothy?" I called out, stepping inside. "Brandon? I'm home." Silence. Complete silence. Not even the television, which Dorothy usually kept on during the day because the voices made her feel less alone. The living room looked undisturbed, but there was a smell, something stale and wrong, like when you return from vacation and the house has been closed up too long. "Dorothy!" I called louder, my voice cracking. My heart started that irregular flutter again, the one that sent me to the hospital in the first place. I set down my bag and moved through the house. The kitchen sink was empty. No dirty dishes. No signs of cooking. The trash can was nearly empty. Brandon said he'd been staying here, taking care of everything. Where was the evidence of that? My breath came shorter as I approached the staircase. 16 steps. I'd climbed them thousands of times, but now they looked like a mountain. I gripped the railing and started up, one step at a time, my bad knee protesting with each movement. "Dorothy, sweetheart, are you up here?" The upstairs hallway stretched before me. Our bedroom door at the end stood slightly open. No sound came from inside. No movement. Nothing. "Dorothy?" I pushed the door open, and my world collapsed. She was in our bed, barely moving. Her skin looked gray, like old newspaper. Her lips were cracked and bleeding. The sheets beneath her were stained. She'd wet herself, maybe more than once. Her eyes were half closed, unseeing, staring at nothing. "Oh God! Oh God, Dorothy!" I rushed to her side, my own pain forgotten. I grabbed her hand. It was cold, so cold. "Dorothy, can you hear me? Sweetheart, it's Harold. I'm home. I'm here now." She didn't respond. Her breathing was shallow, barely there. I looked around the room, desperate for answers. Her water glass sat on the nightstand, completely dry, with a white, crusty ring around the inside. How long had it been empty? Her pill organizer sat beside it, the weekly kind, with little compartments for each day. I picked it up with shaking hands and stared at it. Monday through Friday, all still full. 5 days of medication, untaken. No, 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 no. My vision blurred with tears. Brandon promised. He swore he'd take care of her. He looked me in the eye at that hospital and promised his mother would be fine. I tried to give Dorothy water from the bathroom tap, but she couldn't swallow. It just dribbled down her chin. I needed to call 911. I needed help. But first, I needed to know what happened. Dorothy's tablet was still on her nightstand, plugged in like always. She used it to look at old photos, to stay connected. My hands fumbled with it, opening it, going to the app she always used. Brandon's name appeared. At the top he'd posted something 2 days ago. The photo loaded. Brandon, on a beach. golden sand, blue water, a colorful drink in his hand. Smiling. The caption beneath made my blood turn to ice. Finally. A week without the pathetic old folks breathing down my neck. Freedom tastes like sangria. 247 people liked it. I looked at my wife, dying in our bed, then back at the screen. My son, our only child, the boy we raised, sacrificed for, loved with everything we had. He'd left her here to die. On purpose. My phone felt heavy in my pocket. I pulled it out, scrolling through my contacts until I found the name I needed. The one person I knew would help. The one person who'd always told me something wasn't right about Brandon. I pressed call. Valerie? It's Harold. I need you to come to the house right now and call the police. It's Dorothy. My voice broke. She's dying. And Brandon, our son, did this to her. 7 days earlier, the emergency room lights hurt my eyes. Those fluorescent bulbs always made everything look too bright, too clean, too false. I sat on the examination table in one of those paper gowns that never covers enough. Electrodes stuck to my chest like mechanical spiders, while a young doctor studied the monitor showing my heartbeat doing its erratic dance. Mr. Mitchell, your arrhythmia is concerning, she said, not looking up from her tablet. We need to keep you for observation. Minimum 3 days, possibly a week. I can't stay a week, I protested, though my chest felt like someone was sitting on it. My wife, Dorothy, she can't be alone. She has dementia. She forgets things, important things. Is there family who can help? Before I could answer, Brandon swept into the room like he owned the place. My son, in his expensive suit, his hair perfectly styled, his phone already pressed to his ear, finishing some work call. He looked every bit the successful finance manager he claimed to be. Dad, what's going on? He ended his call and turned to the doctor with his most charming smile. I'm his son, Brandon Mitchell. What are we looking at here? The doctor explained everything. The irregular heartbeat, the need for monitoring, the tests they wanted to run. Brandon nodded seriously, asking all the right questions, putting his hand on my shoulder like a devoted son from a television commercial. Brandon, I can't stay, I said. Your mother needs. Dad, stop. He squeezed my shoulder. I've got this. I'll take care of Mom. I'll stay at the house the whole time you're here. She won't be alone for a minute. You just focus on getting better. The relief that washed over me felt like cool water. You're sure? Your job. I've got vacation days saved up. This is more important. Mom needs me. You need me. He looked at the doctor. Whatever he needs, whatever tests, however long, do it. I'll handle everything at home. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him so badly. He was our only child, our son. Surely he wouldn't let us down. That evening, after they'd admitted me to a room and hooked me up to more monitors, Brandon visited again. He sat beside my bed, scrolling through his phone, barely looking at me. How's your mother? I asked. Fine. Fed her dinner. She's watching her game shows. He didn't look up. Did she take her evening medications? The insulin is in the fridge, and she needs. Dad, I got it. Stop worrying. His tone had an edge now, the false patience wearing thin. You think I don't know how to take care of my own mother? I wanted to say that yes, actually, I wasn't sure he did. Brandon hadn't lived with us in 20 years. He visited maybe once a month, always rushed, always checking his watch. But I kept quiet. I had to trust him. The next morning, I called the house phone. It rang 12 times before Brandon answered, his voice thick with sleep. What? Just checking in. How's Mom? Did she have breakfast? Jesus, Dad, it's 7 in the morning. I'll handle it. Stop calling. He hung up. I tried to push down the worry gnawing at my stomach. He was tired. He'd handle it. He promised. By the third day, I couldn't reach him at all. The house phone went to voicemail. His cell phone went straight to voicemail. I called Valerie Rodriguez, my old coworker, just to ask if she could check on Dorothy. Harold, I tried stopping by yesterday, Valerie said. concern thick in her voice. No one answered the door. Brandon's car wasn't there. He probably took Dorothy to the store, I said. But my hands were shaking as I held the phone. At 10 in the morning on a Tuesday? When did Brandon ever take his mother shopping? I didn't have an answer. That afternoon, a nurse helped me set up Dorothy's tablet so I could video call her. But Dorothy didn't answer. I tried 3 times. Nothing. By day 5, I was frantic. The doctor said my heart rate kept spiking, probably from stress, and they needed to keep me longer. I tried to sign myself out, but they threatened to have me declared incompetent to make my own medical decisions. I called Brandon's phone again and again. Finally, on the 6th day, I got a text message from him. Everything fine. Stop worrying. Mom is okay. Phone acting weird. But something in my gut told me everything wasn't fine. I lay in that hospital bed, hooked to machines, completely helpless, while my wife was home with a son I was no longer sure I could trust. I didn't know that Brandon had already booked his flight to Spain. I didn't know he'd left her alone 3 days ago. I didn't know that Dorothy was upstairs in our bed, calling my name to empty rooms, growing weaker with each hour that passed. I didn't know any of it until it was almost too late. Valerie burst through our front door 18 minutes after I called her. She'd always been quick to act, never one for hesitation. Her gray hair was pulled back tight, and she carried a medical bag, the one from her EMT training days, that she'd never gotten rid of. "Where is she?" Valerie demanded, already moving toward the stairs. "Bedroom, upstairs." "Valerie, she's barely conscious. I don't know how long." But Valerie was already climbing, taking the steps 2 at a time, despite her 66 years. I followed as fast as my failing heart would allow, gripping the railing. In our bedroom, Valerie dropped to her knees beside Dorothy and immediately started checking her pulse, her breathing, lifting her eyelids to check her pupils. Her jaw clenched tighter with each assessment. "Harold, call 911. Right now." Her voice was sharp, professional. "Tell them, elderly female, severe dehydration, possible diabetic crisis, unresponsive." My fingers fumbled with my phone, nearly dropping it twice before I managed to dial. The operator's voice sounded distant as I stammered out the address and repeated what Valerie told me to say. Valerie pulled supplies from her bag, a small bottle of water, a glucose tablet. She managed to get tiny amounts of water between Dorothy's cracked lips, speaking softly to her. "Dorothy, honey, it's Valerie. Harold's home now. We're getting you help. Stay with us." Dorothy's eyes flickered open for just a moment. She looked at me, and I saw recognition there. Her lips moved, forming my name without sound. "I'm here, sweetheart. I'm right here. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I left you." The paramedics arrived in what felt like both seconds and hours. They swarmed the room with equipment, asking questions rapid fire. When did I last see her? When did she last eat? What medications was she on? I answered, as best I could, my voice breaking. They loaded Dorothy onto a stretcher, started an IV right there in our bedroom, wrapped a blood pressure cuff around her thin arm. The numbers they called out to each other meant nothing to me, but their urgent tones meant everything. "Sir, are you riding with us?" one paramedic asked. I started to stand, but Valerie put a firm hand on my shoulder. "Harold, you just got out of the hospital yourself. Your heart can't take this stress. That's my wife, and she needs you alive, not having another cardiac event in the ambulance." Valerie's eyes were fierce. "I'll drive you. We'll be right behind them. But first, you need to tell me exactly what happened here." The ambulance pulled away, sirens splitting the quiet afternoon. I sank onto the bed, the mattress still holding Dorothy's shape, still damp with her suffering. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. "Brandon promised," I whispered. "He looked me in the eye and promised he'd take care of her." "Show me," Valerie said. I pulled out Dorothy's tablet with trembling fingers and opened the app. Brandon's post was still there, still had those 247 likes, still showed him grinning on that beach with his drink. Valerie read it once, then again, her face turning to stone. "What else?" she asked quietly. Harold, what else has Brandon done? What do you mean? I've known you both for 30 years. I've watched Brandon grow up, and I've watched him change. She sat beside me on the bed. The way he talks about you two, the questions he asks about your finances, the way his eyes light up when he mentions life insurance. Harold, when did he start asking about your will? My throat closed up. Last year, he wanted me to sign power of attorney papers. Said it would make things easier if something happened to me. Said he could help manage our accounts, pay bills for us. Did you sign them? No. Something felt wrong about it. Dorothy even said, I stopped, remembering. She said, why does he need our money now? We're still here. She was having a clear day, one of her good days. She saw something I didn't want to see. Valerie pulled out her phone and started scrolling. Harold, I need to show you something. I didn't want to worry you while you were in the hospital, but I've been keeping track. She turned her phone toward me. Look at Brandon's posts from the past 6 months. I read them, one after another. Each one made me feel sicker. Stuck doing another Sunday dinner with the ancient ones. Kill me now. Anyone else's parents still think it's 1,950? Welcome to my personal nightmare. Counting down the days until freedom. Some of us are waiting for our inheritance like it's the lottery. That last one had laughing emojis. 38 people had liked it. People who thought my son was joking. There's more, Valerie said. She made a call, brief and quiet. Patty, it's Valerie Rodriguez. I need you to come to 247 Oak Street immediately. We have an elder abuse situation. Possible attempted. She paused, glancing at me. Possible attempted negligent homicide. Officer Patricia Green arrived 30 minutes later in an unmarked car. She was a solid woman in her 50s, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Valerie met her at the door, while I sat at the kitchen table, still trying to process the word I'd heard her say on the phone. Homicide. My son. Those two things couldn't belong in the same sentence. Mr. Mitchell, I'm Officer Green. I specialize in elder abuse and exploitation cases. She sat across from me, pulling out a notebook. I know this is difficult, but I need you to walk me through everything. I told her about my hospitalization, Brandon's promises, the unreturned calls, coming home to find Dorothy dying in our bed. My voice kept breaking. Officer Green wrote everything down, her expression neutral but her pen pressing harder into the paper with each detail. May I see the bedroom? She asked. We went upstairs. Officer Green photographed everything with her phone. The empty water glass with its crusty ring, the full pill organizer, the soiled sheets, the bathroom where the toilet hadn't been flushed in days. She opened Dorothy's nightstand drawer and found her emergency medical information card, her list of medications, her diabetic testing kit unused. Mr. Mitchell, your son knew about your wife's medical needs? Officer Green asked. Of course. We went over everything before I went to the hospital. Her insulin schedule, her pills, her meals. He said he understood. He said he had it under control. Officer Green took photos of Brandon's social media posts on the tablet. She zoomed in on dates and timestamps. He posted this from Barcelona 2 days ago. When exactly did you go into the hospital? 8 days ago. Last Friday afternoon. And when did he leave for Spain? I didn't know. Officer Green made some calls, speaking in low tones with someone about flight records and passport control. When she hung up, her face was grim. Brandon Mitchell flew out of Philadelphia International on Tuesday morning. That's 5 days ago. 3 days after you were hospitalized. The room tilted. 3 days. He'd left Dorothy alone for 5 days. 5 days without food, without water, without medication. 5 days to die slowly while he drank cocktails on a beach. That's not all, Officer Green said. I'm going to check something. Do you have a computer? I led her to the small office downstairs where I kept our desktop computer for paying bills. Officer Green sat down and started typing, navigating through our home network. Do you have any security cameras? A doorbell camera? I forgot about that. Brandon installed one last year. Said it would make us safer. Officer Green's fingers flew across the keyboard. Within minutes, she'd accessed the camera's cloud storage. She started playing back footage, fast-forwarding through days. I watched our front door on the screen, watching timestamps fly by. There, Tuesday morning, Brandon walking out with a suitcase, looking at his phone, getting into his car. He never looked back at the house. He left at 6:47 a.m., Officer Green said. Before your wife would have been awake. Did he tell her he was leaving? I thought of Dorothy, waking up alone, confused, calling for Brandon who wasn't there, calling for me who couldn't come, growing more confused as the hours passed, as her blood sugar dropped, as thirst became desperate need. Officer Green continued scrolling through footage. Monday showed Brandon leaving in the evening, not returning until after midnight. Sunday showed him gone most of the day. Saturday, the day after I was hospitalized, showed him leaving at noon and not coming back until late. He was barely here, I whispered. He lied about everything. Officer Green picked up her phone and dialed. I'm calling his cell now. She put it on speaker. The phone rang and rang. Then, you've reached Brandon Mitchell. Leave a message. Mr. Mitchell, this is Officer Patricia Green with the police department. We need you to contact us immediately regarding a welfare check on your mother, Dorothy Mitchell. This is urgent. Call this number back as soon as you receive this message. She hung up and immediately called someone else. Detective Morris, Patty Green. I need you to put out a locate on Brandon Mitchell, currently believed to be in Spain. We're looking at elder neglect, possibly criminal endangerment. His mother is in critical condition at Mercy General. At the hospital, Dorothy was in the ICU. Tubes and wires connected her to machines that beeped and hummed. A doctor met me in the hallway. A young woman with tired eyes. Mr. Mitchell, your wife is severely dehydrated and malnourished. Her blood sugar was dangerously low. We're talking near coma levels. She has a urinary tract infection from sitting in her own waste, and early signs of kidney damage. Will she survive? The doctor hesitated. If you'd found her 12 hours later, probably not. As it is, the next 48 hours are critical. I sat beside Dorothy's bed, holding her hand. It was warmer now. The IV fluids, bringing her back from the edge. But she hadn't woken up, hadn't opened her eyes. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Dad, what's going on? Why are the police looking for me? Officer Green, standing in the doorway, saw my face. Don't respond. Not yet. Brandon's plane landed at Philadelphia International 48 hours later. Officer Green had been tracking his return flight, and she was waiting at our house when he pulled up in a taxi, looking exhausted and frightened. I watched from the living room window as he jumped out, still wearing vacation clothes, shorts, and a wrinkled linen shirt. He didn't see the unmarked police car parked down the street. Brandon burst through the front door without knocking. His eyes were wild, darting around the room until they landed on me sitting in my chair. Dad! Oh, thank God. Where's Mom? Is she okay? I came as soon as I could. My phone wasn't working right in Spain, and then I saw all these messages. Stop, I said quietly. Dad, you have to understand, there was a mix-up with the dates. I thought I'd be back before you got home. I arranged for... Stop lying. My voice was steady now, cold. There was no mix-up. You left her here to die. Brandon's face went through several expressions: confusion, indignation, fear, before settling on wounded innocence. That's insane. I would never. The front door opened again. Officer Green walked in, followed by another officer I didn't recognize. Brandon's face went pale. Mr. Mitchell, I'm glad you finally decided to return our calls, Officer Green said. I think we need to have a conversation down at the station. Am I under arrest? Brandon's voice cracked. Not yet. But your mother is in the ICU fighting for her life, and we have some questions about your whereabouts this past week. Brandon turned to me, his expression shifting to anger. Dad, you called the police on me? Your own son? Do you know what this could do to my career? My reputation? Something snapped inside me. I stood up, my legs steadier than they'd been in days. Your reputation? Your mother almost died. She lay in our bed for 5 days without food or water or medication, while you posted pictures of yourself partying in Spain. You called us pathetic old folks. You said you finally had freedom from us. Those were jokes. You don't understand social media people exaggerate for likes. I didn't mean, show him, I said to Officer Green. She pulled out her tablet and played the security camera footage. Brandon watched himself leave the house on Tuesday morning with his suitcase. Watched the timestamps showing he never came back. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. We also have your flight records, Officer Green continued. You booked that trip on Monday afternoon, Mr. Mitchell. While your father was in the hospital and your mother was here alone, you knew exactly what you were doing. I left her food. I made sure she had everything she needed. Brandon was sweating now, his prepared lies crumbling. Really? Because when your father arrived home, there was no food. The pill organizer was full. Your mother's water glass was bone dry. She was severely dehydrated, malnourished, and septic from a urinary tract infection. The doctor said if she'd been left alone another day, she would have died. Brandon's face flushed red. This is ridiculous. I'm not some criminal. Do you know how hard it is taking care of aging parents? The phone calls, the doctor appointments, the constant needs. I have a life too. I deserve to live my own life without being dragged down by your pathetic old folks. I finished for him. That's what you called us. Your mother and me. The people who raised you, who paid for your college, who helped with your first house down payment. We're pathetic to you. Dad, I didn't mean it like that. Get out, I said. What? Get out of this house. You're not welcome here anymore. Brandon looked at Officer Green, then back at me. You can't kick me out. This is my childhood home. I have rights. Actually, you don't, Officer Green said. This house belongs to your parents. And right now, you're lucky you're not in handcuffs. The district attorney is reviewing this case for criminal charges: elder neglect, financial exploitation, and potentially attempted negligent homicide. Brandon's face went white. Homicide? You can't be serious. I just went on a vacation. That's not a crime. Abandoning a vulnerable person who depends on you for life-sustaining care is a crime, Mr. Mitchell. Especially when you knew she couldn't care for herself. Officer Green gestured toward the door. We'll be in touch about when you need to come to the station for formal questioning. Until then, I strongly suggest you get a lawyer. Brandon stared at me, and for a moment, I saw something I'd never seen before in my son's eyes: genuine fear. Not for his mother, not for what he'd done, but fear for himself, for the consequences finally catching up to him. Dad, please, don't do this. I'm your son. No, I said, my voice breaking. My son died the moment he walked out that door and left his mother to suffer alone. I don't know who you are anymore.